Hello, good evening, and welcome very much to the Freelance Mum Podcast. I am absolutely delighted to be joined this evening by the singer-songwriter Rachel Walker-Mason. And this evening we are talking about the importance of entering awards. And Rachel is no stranger when it comes to winning awards. She's won so many. I'm always impressed. Constantly, a constant stream of them. And in fact, recently, Rachel, I must say congratulations, because you've won the British Citizen Award for your work with lyrical light songwriting, isn't it? So congratulations to you for that. Tell us a bit about that before we get started.
Yeah, it was a surprise. My husband nominated me, and it was seconded by my friend Caroline, which was really kind. So yeah, the British Citizen Award is awarded a couple of times a year for people who have done kind of things to help their communities, help others. And so my husband Hon nominated me for my work with Lyrical Light, which is for mums and dads who have struggled with their mental health after having their children, particularly having postnatal depression and anxiety. And so I write songs with them, kind of so it's like kind of counselling, but in the form of song, so it doesn't feel as kind of counselling-y. It's kind of dealing with things in a creative way. And I also set up a vocal scholarship over the last 15 years. So I was nominated for that as well, for giving people who couldn't afford singing lessons, couldn't afford to go into the arts, because it's an expensive hobby, the arts. It's like horse riding, like you've got to be fairly wealthy to kind of enter it. And so I was able to give people the opportunity to do the thing they loved, even if their parents just didn't have the funds to support them.
That's amazing. What a wonderful work to do, Rachel. It really is. And to think that you're using your skills and your gift set to be able to help other people, like you say. Huge congratulations, and how very kind that your husband nominated you for that award and your friend seconded it, if that's the right turn of phrase. It feels, there's something about entering awards that feels very un-British, isn't it? I think we're a bit of a shy and bashful lot, and it doesn't feel, I mean, it's great that in this circumstance it was your husband who entered it on your behalf, so you kind of didn't have that immediate obstacle to overcome where you think, oh, is it right to enter? But why is it important to enter awards as freelancers, and why is it absolutely acceptable on this occasion to say, yep, I think I'm it?
Well, as a freelancer, who else is going to big you up? There's no one else. You don't have a boss, you don't have a team, it's just you. And I think most of us struggle with imposter syndrome pretty much every day. I definitely still do. So we often feel like we're not good enough, like we therefore shouldn't put ourselves forward for awards, because of course other people who are better than us, why do we think why do we think we're good enough to do that? But if we don't put ourselves forward, we're doing ourselves a disservice, because actually the fact that we are successfully freelancing is actually a major achievement. The fact that we are doing this on our own, following the path that we want, doing the living the dream essentially, even though sometimes it's a bit of a nightmare. We're actually doing this, and particularly as freelance mums, we're balancing children and the house and all kinds of things, and still running our own business, which is incredible. I'm always so impressed with, in whatever field, these incredible women who are doing this. And I think particularly as women, we are less likely to put ourselves forward, because it's often seen as a bit showy and a bit diva-ish, and women particularly are kind of told, don't get too big for your boots, don't think too much of yourself. So I think we often try and keep ourselves very small and say, oh no, it's nothing, and deflect that kind of praise, because we've kind of learnt to not take that praise as if we don't deserve it, but we do. So putting yourself forward for an award does feel awkward. You feel like yourself internally cringing at the same time, because you have to kind of big yourself up to, fill in these things, say, oh, I've done this and I've done this, and this is the impact I've had. But how else are people going to hear about what you do, and to be not necessarily rewarded for it, but it can give you a platform in which you can speak more, reach more people about what you do. And so it helps your business, and it also helps other people who may be thinking about going freelance and aren't sure and aren't worried about it. And it can really speak to them and give them confidence that they can do it too, that we are just human, and we're still, we still make mistakes and still aren't very confident in ourselves, but we're still kind of pushing ourselves and going for it.
You're right. There's something that I've picked up on there, Rachel, in you saying that there's something about it helps to continue to build your community. So if you're doing something and you're trying to serve a community and grow that community, and particularly in the work that you've recently won that award for in the charity line of things, it's really nice to think that actually I'm not just doing this for me, I'm doing this for the community that I'm trying to serve, the community that I'm trying to support. And it doesn't necessarily have to be always in the sense of the charity work that you're doing. It could be that actually you're really trying to support a specific audience. And let's face it, as freelance mums, I dare say that a lot of us are doing something because we're incredibly passionate about helping that field, that arena. Yeah. So why not, head above the parapet, whatever it is, and say, I'm going for it. I really want to put myself out there.
Absolutely. Well, that's how we met, was at the IPSY Freelancer Awards 2 years ago, and I was so impressed with you, and I'd seen bits of you on social media and things, but I'd never kind of encountered you. It was so exciting to meet you, and because I knew a bit about all the amazing things you did, and I thought, oh my gosh, I think she's someone who could be part of my life and be a friend of mine and be able to do things with you, because you just had that passion, like you really cared about other freelance mums. You got us in a way that other people don't, because it's really flipping lonely a lot of the time. It was just, I remember saying that to you on a message. I was like, it's really lonely because it's just me and here with these kids. And you said, I think you need a kind of squad. And you were like, you guys have just become my people. And I wrote that in my book. I wrote a little dedication to freelance mum, saying, I found my people. You are my people, and you inspire me. Or even though you all do different things to me, the way that you work and the way that you sort of care for yourselves and each other and your children, it's inspired me so much. And I've learned an incredible amount. And I wouldn't have known that had I not met you. And it's because of the IPSY Awards. It's because you'd won the year before, and you've entered this year again. It's amazing. It's just so I wouldn't know you if it wasn't for an award ceremony.
I have to say, I was not expecting you to say all of that, Rachel. I'm absolutely gushing right now. Think, oh gosh, that's amazing. That's such a lovely thing to say, because at risk of going off on a tangent, that is the very essence of what Freelance Mum is about, is that we are here. We've got our own little homegrown community that we've got. And like you say, we all support each other, each other's businesses, each other's children. We know each other so well. And there's something about, even if you don't know someone new and they're new to the fold, you just instantly know that come, be part of it. We get it. We know. You don't have to explain. And we had messaged, as you rightly say, in the world of social media, we'd connected, but to actually meet you at an awards do, and that you had won. I'd won the previous year and you won the following year. I remember my heart was bursting with pride and thinking, I must let her have a hug with her husband first, but I'm up next.
You were next with her. There's this amazing photo of you and Claire just going at me, and I'm going back like this. I was just stunned. I didn't in a million years think I'd win, so it was just incredible. And my son was only 7 months old, I think, when we won that award, and it was so amazing to be there with you and Claire as well, because you get it on a different level of like being a mum and doing this, and it was just that made the event even more incredible, having the two of you there. So it was like, full freelance mumming.
Oh,
it was amazing.
That was, unfortunately, not every awards event comes with your own posse of freelance mums. I mean, we'd like to, on the journey.
We should have that at every event.
Imagine if there was your own team of cheerleaders, freelance mums.
We need pom-poms in the freelance mum colours.
That'd be awesome. But there is something about like the event itself as well, Rachel, like you say, that although the word networking is a funny old word, isn't it? But actually, it is about, I think if you take the word networking down and just make it network, it is about growing your network, isn't it? It is about meeting other people and connecting. And actually, nights like that are special occasions. We don't, especially as mums, and especially coming out of lockdown. When was the last time we went out and had a really lovely do? And there's something about that makes you feel special, and I have arrived and I'm meeting other people and I'm putting on my glad rags, and that in itself makes it an occasion, doesn't it? And I think there's something to be said about that as a freelancer.
Definitely. And I remember at the freelance, the kind of day where the finalists met, and then we had our kind of 5-minute, 15-minute interview with the panel. When we met, we all joked that the dress code for that day was sort of business attire, and we all said to each other, "Aren't you just in pajamas all day?" And they were like, "Yeah." So we all had this joke like, "Do we just turn up in our pajamas?" This event, because to us that's business attire, and we were talking about how the postman comes round and just sees us in our pajamas all the time. That's just life for all of us. And they were like, "Oh, we have to actually find things that look like business attire." So I was there in a jacket thinking, I literally never wear a jacket. I had to dig it out of the cupboard because who wears that when you're freelance?
That's so fun. Feel like you're borrowing things from your dad's wardrobe.
Yeah, to look corporate. And it was just so funny because none of us wear that at home because you don't generally when you're freelance. And it was this was pre-lockdown when other people dress like humans, not dress like freelancers now. But it was just so funny that we all, even though we were totally different people, did completely different things, we were all exactly the same in that. And we were at this day going, "Oh yeah, we're all dressed, we've got shoes on," and about to get a taxi back to the station because I couldn't walk in them.
If only you had turned up in your business attire, that would have been brilliant for the freelancer. It was far more fitting, wouldn't it?
It would have. Yeah, we were like, "Should we just turn up in pajamas?" We were like, "Oh, like onesies, like matching onesies or something." That would have been really funny.
Going back to the awards, Rachel, and entering award, is there how do you decide which awards to enter? Is there a way of thinking, right, okay, I'm going to enter that one because I really like the prize, or I really like that one because that one's really good for me professionally? How do you whittle it down? How do you even find out about them?
There's usually quite a lot of information. I just like being on the internet quite a lot and just looking at different things. I think within music there are a lot. My dad's always like, "Why are there so many awards?" I'm like, "I don't know, there just are in music." Yeah. But within professional business things, there are a lot. So there are various different ones. Some within your own area, some national, some international, lots of different things. So a lot of them are on have a Facebook page, have a website, that kind of thing, and then also contact, looking at the social media of people that you admire. So there's people that I think are amazing, and I like going and looking on their social media and seeing what competitions they've entered, what things they've done, because there's this thing called Women of the Year, and there was someone I knew who had been part of that, and I thought, "Oh, that sounds amazing." So I looked it up and then didn't think much more of it. And then Tom had actually, my husband is amazing, so he'd nominated me for that. So I did that last year, which was in lockdown. So that was a bit of a weird thing, business lunch at home on Zoom with everyone. It's a bit weird, but it was lovely. It was really lovely. And I found out about that because somebody else I admire had been part of it. So that's always a good way of, that we've all got people that we kind of fangirl over professionally. So it's good to see what they've done, what they've been involved with. Sometimes, there are really good prizes. Other times, you could have letters. Letters after our name is quite a nice thing to have if we end up with that. And other times, you get to meet, particularly now post lockdown, we get to meet these amazing people who we probably wouldn't meet in normal circumstances because you don't live anywhere near each other. You meet for this particular event. And you tend to be very similar in odd ways, in that you're all very tenacious and driven and really care about the thing you do. And that can be really wonderful, particularly as a freelancer, when you're on your own most of the time, and then you suddenly meet these people who really get you. So that can be really nice. So that can be almost the reward for that, is just meeting these other people. So yeah, there are lots of different ways and lots of different competitions and different things you can enter. You can enter them all if you want. Why
and
not?
Completely. I think there's something that's almost quite cathartic as well about, I mean, it's exhausting filling out application forms, but also quite cathartic about when it's done. You're like, oh, I did it. Oh, actually, I'm not so bad. And there's something, if you're having a bit of a down moment, as we all do as human beings, as freelancers, I think about going back and rereading what you've written down. You think, oh, I'm not too bad after all, am I? I've achieved one or two things. I do seem to be doing something all right, whether I win it or not. I think there's something in that process about completing it and thinking, yeah, I'm okay. I'm doing all right in life.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so good to kind of sum yourself up in that way. It's like that weird exercise that they call like eulogies or something, where you write your eulogy as if you had died, but you write it including all the things that you want to have done from now till the point when you die in your life. So you can, and then so you've made this eulogy of like, oh, and then she wrote a book, and then she did this, and then she did that, and then you can make those things happen. So it's really good to write your biography and write, with filling in these forms, you have to talk about the things you've done. And then you can also think, oh, and I'd really like to do this. And you can start setting yourself little goals and little aims, and realize you can do it, because look how far you've come. Look at what you've done. And we were probably all at a point, I don't know, 5 years ago, where we wished we were at the point we are now, but at this point now we don't appreciate that, because we're just sort of struggling with where we are now, but we forget that this was the dream. And it's really good to remember that, to, like you're saying, like write that down and go, oh my goodness, I've achieved those things that I really wanted to when I was younger. I've done it. I've done those things. And it's good to remind ourselves of how resilient and creative we are.
And what about the cost of entering awards? Because I know that some awards can come with quite a big price tag, and it's okay if it's you have to write a check, Rachel. Write your metaphorical check, send it off to enter the award. But then some of these, there'll be a dinner and dance, whatever, afterwards, and that can come with a hefty price tag. That's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, do you weigh up that financial cost against any gain or not, or do you just think, I'm going to just cause a big night out? Or would you just say, actually, I just cannot physically afford to enter this award at all? Is there anything for you that you think that's a non-starter, or actually that's a barrier that I can overcome?
I think it's a bit of both, actually, because it depends on the event. There's something in a couple of weeks that I've been invited to in London, but it's like 300 quid a seat, and I was like, I literally just do not have that money. There is just no way I could afford to do that, and I have to get the train there and find something nice to wear, and I was like, I just can't. It just doesn't. I just thought, no, I can't do that. Talked to my husband, and he was like, yeah. He said, do you really want to go? And I was like, no, not that much. It's okay, I don't mind. So you have to really weigh it up if it's worth it. Because that's hard, and it is like, it's sort of investing in yourself, but you have to think, is that event worth the investment? It's not that you are not worth the investment, is that event worth it? And if you get to meet people that would like change your life, send your career in a different trajectory or something, then maybe it is worth it. But if it's going to bankrupt you, then probably not. So you have to think with each case, is it worth it, and is it worth that amount of money? And am I just going to feel annoyed that I've spent that?
And it's like you rightly say, Rachel, whether it's whether you have to pay for it or not. Invariably, you're probably going to want an outfit. There'll be a train ticket. There could be an overnight. These things all have to be costed in. And actually, like you say, I suppose treat everything almost like a business case. What's this going to cost? What kind of investment am I going to see? Am I going to meet people? Is it a PR opportunity? Is it a marketing opportunity, almost just to be in the room with this amazing people? Or is it just quite simply entertaining and a night out? And that's also okay as well. It's about weighing that all up, isn't it? We
are allowed to have fun sometimes.
And you can't put a price tag on that, Rachel, can you?
Exactly. It's just it's balancing those things, isn't it? And also being a mum, you have to think, okay, how often am I away from my children in the next 2 weeks, and that kind of thing. So the part of the reason I'm not going to this thing in London is because I've been away so much in this last month. I just thought I really can't, and I didn't. I was meant to be in LA and Nashville at various points last month, and my daughter started school for the first time then, and I just thought I can't do that to her. And I thought that's where the mum from the Freelance Mum thing very much came first. And it wasn't a big decision, even though I couldn't really afford to fly to LA. That would have been like selling a kidney or something, particularly after lockdown when we've all struggled a bit financially. It was an easy choice. I was like, I can't leave and just not be here when she starts school. That just felt.
And that's sort of part of it as well, isn't it? I think for the freelance mum part is actually that, yes, we have a career that we carve out and fit in around life, but actually wanting to be there for that first week and wanting to have the mum part of it. And I can remember when my girls first started school and there was an event I wanted to take part in. It was actually away at the weekend. So although it wouldn't have affected the school week, I didn't know how they were going to feel. I knew it was a really important big week. And I just thought, I can't do it. I want to be there at the end of that first week, knowing how they feel and being there if they just want to sit on the sofa or whatever it is they want to do, that the time isn't for me that weekend and my time will come.
Exactly. Yeah. And we kind of remember part of the reason we want to be freelance is so we can be there for our children in a way that we want, the way that we want to be. We don't have to be working 9 to 5 or being in London all the time and then coming back really late after their bedtime. So we've kind of given ourselves a life that can work around our kids. But then if we choose to be away a lot when we don't actually want to be away, then are we still having the life that we want? Like when you don't have to go and do it.
Yeah.
So it's, so sometimes it just doesn't feel like the right choice. Sometimes you do have to put the children first and your husband first and things, because everybody else has to pick up the slack when you're not there. So it is a balance. Everything's a balance, a juggling act, a balancing act, isn't it? As we always say. And
it's a constant balancing act. You never get it right all the time.
Yeah.
It might just balance for a few moments and then it changes again. And it's a constant pivot, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
I have to ask, Rachel, you've got a very impressive wall behind you, and I'm not talking about your fancy brickwork. You need to tell us. We're here talking about awards, and what have you got? Are these platinum, I'm going to say records, showing my age. What is it?
They're like, shiny. Well, look, my daughter calls it the shiny wall. I think, so it's various things that, like I've had certain number of plays on the radio in America and various things, and that one was being a featured international songwriter, that one of the month, and that one was for a Christian thing, and some various other things. They just sort of spread. My husband's always like, that's great, honey, I'll get the hammer and nails out. There's like this pile of them to go on the wall.
And of the awards that you've won, and you were quite right, actually, Rachel, I think, to point out at the beginning, you do work in the music industry, which is probably an industry that has more awards. There might be other industries that don't have quite as many. Yeah. So that's quite helpful to your industry. But of the awards that you've won, what's been your proudest moment?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Well, winning Freelancer of the Year was just insane. That was I couldn't believe it happened. So I think that's probably still the thing that I'm most proud of, because there was no fans can't vote you in for that. Because some things I win because there's lots of followers follow me and they vote for things. That there was no way of blagging that. You just had to be what they wanted, and I didn't think I would be. So they're never going to pick me. So that felt unbelievable that they wanted me to represent freelancing for that year. It was such an honour as a mum as well, a mum of young children. It felt like I was doing it for all us mums who freelance. It felt, I think that's the thing I'm most proud of, actually, because it felt like it was for more people than just me. And hopefully it would encourage other freelance mums to put themselves forward for things rather than just think, it's for people who run their own business and have nothing else to worry about and things. And this year, quite a lot of people who entered were freelance mums, which was amazing, like part of our actual freelance mum and just other people who are mums who freelance. And I loved that because there wasn't as many when I entered. So things are changing. We're starting to feel more positive about our role in society, and our right to be seen as a freelancer and seen as successful. So that feels like that's definitely the thing I'm most proud of.
That is lovely, and you're right to be proud as well, Rachel. To see that you can already see the ripple effect is a real joy and an honour. So yeah, huge congratulations to you. Before we go, Rachel, it's been so lovely speaking to you. It really has been a joy. Any advice? What would you say to anyone who's sitting here thinking, oh, do you know what? It's been lovely listening to Rachel, but I still don't know if I've got the guts to enter that award. There's something that I'm dying to put myself out there for, but I don't know. What advice would you give to people?
Well, I always look at sort of things in life as, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is that you don't win. But they're not going to... They're unlikely to put, anything mean about you. Same as they didn't win, you just won't win, and you don't even have to tell people that you've entered if you don't win. If you don't, and it does feel a bit of a knock to your self-esteem when you don't win, but it's not going to kill you. Just think about how far you've come and how much you've done. And there's plenty of, like, Freelance for the year, I never thought, even my husband was like, yeah, they're probably looking for people who have an enormous, annual turnover and things, and I definitely don't. But you never know what they're looking for, and you might be just the person, having just the career, just the things you've overcome. It might be exactly what they're looking for, and you won't think of yourself as that's amazing, because you are the person who's been through it, and it's just stuff you've been through. But to an outsider, that can be really inspirational and outstanding. So yeah, I always think, what's the worst that can happen? So just go for it, because you deserve it. And I mean, I'm not exceptional. I'm just pushy. I'm just tenacious. And I just sort of think, yeah, what's the worst that can happen? And quite often I don't win things, or don't get a reply about being on someone's podcast or something like that. And you just think, oh well. And I do it enough for it not to really bother me anymore. But you've got to put yourself out there for those things. And then the wins and the things you can tick off and say, yeah, I did that, will start outweighing the no's, the things that you don't get. And then the things you don't get will bother you less, because you're already succeeding. So you've got to take that punt on yourself, because as a freelancer, nobody else is going to. You've got to believe in yourself, as you believe in yourself enough to create your business.
That is fantastic advice there, Rachel. That is absolutely fabulous. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me this evening and to share all that advice to fellow freelance mums. It is always a joy to speak to you, and can't wait to speak to you again, and well, hopefully see you at the coffee morning next week.
Yay. Yes, definitely.
Thank you, and take care, Rachel. And don't forget, if you've been watching this and you'd like to come and join Freelance Mum, please do. You can come and try us for free for 30 days. Just check out freelancemum.co.uk, or just come and join us in the mothership, which you'll find in Facebook. Until then, have a lovely evening. Bye.